You want to build a generative AI solution and you want to lean on a third-party service like the one from ChatGPT, OpenAI. In order to do so, you want to understand how much is going to cost you such a service. In this video, I will go through a very simple calculation to show you how much a generative AI solution might cost if you go with a very simple setting or if you go with a more intermediate setting, and for a more advanced generative AI solution. We need to define a couple of concepts that are important to understand how this might be calculated. Let's understand the concept of token. OpenAI and other services will bill you on a token basis. So let's remember that one word is 3 tokens, give or take. A couple of assumptions. I will use the same example for all the 3 different cases. We will assume that we are building a generative AI solution that will be used by 1,000 users that will interact with our solution once per month. They will send 10 messages on average at each interaction, and each message will contain 10 words. Now we have to understand what will happen once the user will send the message with these 10 words. Your generative AI solution will actually take the 10 words, combine them together with the prompt that you use to condition the behavior of your agent, and you will pass everything to the OpenAI service that will process these words to generate an answer for your user. OpenAI will bill you for all the words contained in the message, plus the words contained in your prompt, plus the words that it will generate as an answer for your user. Let's say that the number of words it will generate is the same as the number of the input from the user. So in this case, 10. And then let's say that in a prompt there are on average 50 words. So we have 10 plus 50 plus 10, it's 70 words. So OpenAI, in the case of this very simple generative AI solution, will bill you for 70 words at every interaction of a user. So we have 70 words multiplied by 3, and we have 210 tokens for each interaction. But then we said that we have 10 messages each month for each user. So in this case, it's 210,000 multiplied by 10, and it's 2,100,000 tokens that will be processed each month by OpenAI service for your generative AI solution. What's the cost of that? OpenAI right now, as other providers, will charge you a different price depending on the model you want to use. Let's take ChatGPT version 4 Turbo, that is the new version just released, and it's 1 cent of a dollar every 1,000 token being processed. Actually, OpenAI charges a different number for input and for output. We are simplifying it because the error we are making is actually very small compared to the final number. We will take 1 cent of a dollar for inputs and for outputs. So we need to multiply this 1 cent every 1,000 token by the 2,100,000 token we have to process every month, and it will be $21 per month. $20 per month to sustain our generative AI solution with 1,000 users, 10 messages, 10 words each message each month. How we could make this solution better, and how much would it cost if we make it better? If you want to make an assistant for your users, you want to provide, for example, an external database and some external documentation for the agent to lean on when it doesn't have an answer and it has to actually search for it on your database. So in this case, every time the user makes a question, it will also have to search on your database for the paragraph and for the pieces of information that are the most relevant to answer that question. And in that case, whenever your generative AI solution has to call for OpenAI service, it will not just pass the content of your prompt and the content of the message from the user, but it will also pass the different pieces of information that it has retrieved from your database. We will have 5 paragraphs of text where each paragraph will contain 50 words on average, and so we have to add to the 70 words on average being processed by the first type of solution 250 words that will be added every time the agent has to retrieve some more contextualized information to answer the question from the user. So let's say that 30% of the time it will retrieve more data, and 70% of the time will just go with the normal answer. By weighting the two, you get 120 words being processed for each interaction of a user. So let's do the math. 1,000 users multiplied by 10 messages messages each month, it will be 10,000 by 120. So you will get 1,200,000 words multiplied by 3. You get the number of tokens, 3,600,000 multiplied by 1 cent for each 1,000 tokens. You get $36 per month. So with $36 per month, you get to sustain your entire generative AI solution paying the service from OpenAI. If we go with a more advanced generative AI solution, we can think of not just processing, as in second case, 120 words. We can go with 250 to make it more complex. We can even scale up the number of agents. So we will have one assistant, but under the hood there will be multiple agents supporting the main assistant. So you have maybe different agents doing a different part of the job, so you can create a more complex solution for your user. In this case, you have 250 words being processed multiplied by 2 because you have 2 agents, and so you go with 10,000 messages multiplied by 500, it will be 5 million multiplied by 3 tokens per each word. You get 15 million tokens being processed by the service multiplied by 1 cent of a dollar every 1,000 token. You get $150 per month. Of course, if you increase the number of users, you go from 1,000 to 10,000, you will pay 10 times more. If you change the underlying model, you will pay less or more depending on which model you choose. You can opt for a different provider, and there are many more variables that you should consider in order to calculate the actual cost. It could be much more than that or much less. Usually, when you build complex solutions, you will actually use a chain of prompts, not just one prompt, and so you will have probably much more words to be processed. But I think this approach gives you a framework to understand broadly how much your solution is going to cost.